As the chatter around the NFL intensifies regarding the potential expansion of the regular season to 18 games, San Francisco 49ers tight end George Kittle is stepping into the spotlight, advocating for players' safety in the face of this looming change. Fans, where are you watching from? We want to hear your thoughts on whether the NFL should prioritize player welfare over revenue growth. Since the league adopted the 17-game season in 2021, speculation has been rife about a further increase, with Kittle now voicing significant concerns about the physical toll this additional game would take on players. The prospect of an 18-game season isn't just a number. It represents a potential crisis for the health and longevity of athletes who are already enduring increased workloads, especially with the NFL's commitment to expanding its international reach. San Francisco is set to return to Mexico City and kick off their season against the Los Angeles Rams at the iconic Melbourne Cricket Ground. These international games add an entirely new layer of complexity as travel demands create tighter recovery windows. And we know how crucial recovery is in a sport as physically taxing as football. Kittle's critique is both honest and necessary. He pointed out to CNBC's Alex Sherman the glaring issues surrounding the league's push for an 18th game. I'm not a huge fan of that. We added a game already, and pay wasn't increased. And you're going to add an 18th game and not increase pay again. This sentiment resonates with many players who feel that the financial incentives don't match the risks involved. It's a valid point. If the league is going to ask its players to take on more risk, they must also step up with fair compensation. Kittle goes further, suggesting a more sensible approach to player welfare by proposing the addition of a second bye week instead. He argues what you could do, instead of adding an 18th game, you just add another bye, and then the season is 19 weeks regardless, because then everybody gets 2 byes. This perspective is not just about maintaining player health in the short term. It's about ensuring that fans witness the best product on the field. When star players are sidelined due to injuries, it not only affects the teams, but also diminishes the quality of the brand itself. The latest reports indicate that the introduction of an 18th regular season game could be at least a couple of years off, with 2028 being the earliest possible implementation. However, the pushback from players, especially with the increasing awareness of injury risks, is likely to complicate matters. There's a growing demand for a minimum safety measure, such as a second bye week, which would necessitate a reduction in the preseason schedule. But let's be honest, the motivation behind expanding the season lies in revenue growth and the NFL's ambitious plans for global expansion. For the San Francisco 49ers, this discussion is not merely theoretical. With an aging roster and the challenges posed by longer travel times, the risk of injuries could escalate significantly, impacting the team's performance and their chances of success. The narrative is clear. While the NFL pursues new markets and greater profits, the player's health must remain a priority. It's a delicate balance, and as Kittle rightly points out, the league needs to consider the long-term implications for its athletes. As we continue to monitor these developments, the question remains, will the NFL choose to prioritize profits over the well-being of its players? This debate is far from over, and it will be fascinating to see how it unfolds. Now, let's shift our focus to another pressing issue surrounding the San Francisco 49ers. As the dust settles on the 2026 draft, the San Francisco 49ers find themselves in an intriguing position. With 8 new players added to the roster, the front office's strategy has raised eyebrows and sparked conversation among fans and analysts alike. The key takeaway from this draft isn't just about the names on the list. It's about how the 49ers navigated a chaotic draft board, making calculated decisions rather than succumbing to the pressures of the moment. In an era where many teams panic and reach for players, the 49ers showcased poise and patience. They executed trades to build up their draft capital, most notably securing a 6th-round pick for the upcoming year. This foresight is particularly noteworthy, as the general perception is that next year's draft class is shaping up to be quite strong, especially at the quarterback position, which could have ripple effects throughout the draft as teams position themselves strategically. John Lynch, the 49ers GM, highlighted this fluid nature of the draft process. There's a lot of indications that next year's draft is going to be strong. We took the one opportunity, and that's nice to have, he remarked. Now, let's break down the selections made. The 49ers filled crucial needs, selecting a wide receiver, edge rusher, running back, defensive tackle, 2 offensive linemen, a cornerback, and a linebacker. Each pick comes with its own set of expectations, but the overarching theme here is that the 49ers didn't just fill gaps. They targeted players who could genuinely contribute to the team's success. Head coach Kyle Shanahan emphasized the significance of not reaching for players too early in the draft, a common pitfall for teams desperate to secure talent. His strategy of maximizing value while gaining extra picks allowed the 49ers to transform 6 selections into 8 potential contributors. This is a testament to their scouting department and their commitment to a long-term vision rather than a short-term fix. Shanahan's insights reveal a deeper understanding of draft dynamics, particularly the risks associated with taking a player you feel is the best option when you suspect they could be available later. If you think he's the best player but you don't think they're going to go until like 15 picks later, it's always a huge risk, he noted. This level of strategic thinking not only reflects Shanahan's experience, but also sets a tone of calculated aggression that fans can appreciate. The 49ers' ability to successfully navigate the draft and come away with their desired players while also setting themselves up for future success is a clear indication of a front office that's not just looking at the now, but also planning for the future. This holistic approach may very well pay dividends down the line, especially as the team continues to build on its recent successes. As fans, it's crucial to recognize the intelligence behind these decisions. The 49ers are not just a team that reacts. They're one that anticipates and adapts. This draft has set the franchise up for a promising future, and with the added draft capital for next year, the possibilities become even more exciting. So, where do you stand on the 49ers draft strategy? Are you optimistic about the new additions? Let us know where you're watching from and your thoughts on these developments. Next up, we'll dive deeper into the individual performances of the draft picks and what they bring to the table for the 49ers moving forward. Stay tuned. As the San Francisco 49ers gear up for another promising season, the spotlight is now on a fresh batch of undrafted free agents, 8 players who could make a significant impact on the roster or practice squad. What does this mean for the team's depth and competition? Let's dive into the analysis of these new faces and their chances of making the cut. First up, we have Grimes, a player whose physical attributes, size and speed, could turn heads. However, in the NFL, raw talent must be honed into skill. A year spent on the practice squad could be the best path for him, allowing him to develop and learn the nuances of the game. It's a strategy that has paid off for many players in the past, and for Grimes, it might just be the right move. Next, we turn to Pauling, who seems to fit the mold of a gadget player. His role could be crucial, particularly in the return game, where he serves as insurance for Jacob Cowing. While he might not be the primary playmaker, his versatility could make him a valuable asset on special teams, an area where the 49ers have often excelled. Then there's Thompson, a highly rated undrafted free agent who arrives at camp ready to compete fiercely. He'll be battling it out with Evan Anderson and Sebastian Valdez for what could be the final defensive line spot. Yet, we need to be cautious. While he's a promising addition, he may not be the standout defensive lineman this class has to offer. The competition is stiff, and every practice will count. Eason finds himself in a similar situation as Thompson, perhaps just marginally ahead on the depth chart. The tight competition among these players will push them to elevate their performance, but the reality is that they are all vying for limited spots. The 49ers will need to weigh their options carefully as training camp unfolds. One glaring oversight in the last draft was the lack of a safety selection. The front office typically brings in players to challenge Jair Brown, but with Marquez Sigel not proving himself as a reliable third safety for dime snaps, the pressure is on. Enter Stroman, who may not be the fastest player in the room, but could fill that box safety role effectively. His ability to contribute on special teams will be key in his bid to make the roster, especially with Siren Neal also in the mix. In terms of the punting situation, the 49ers are currently relying on Corliss Whiteman, whose past performance hasn't exactly inspired confidence. This leaves the door wide open for Baumeister, who could come in and seize the opportunity to secure the job. The big question here is whether this will remain a two-man battle or if other contenders will emerge. Kamara, with an impressive track record at Indiana, brings his own set of challenges. While his athleticism could be questioned in terms of NFL readiness, rushers like him have found a niche with the 49ers. Competing against players like Cam Sample, Keon White, and Sam Okwenonu, he could certainly carve out a role for himself this offseason if he can showcase his abilities. Finally, we have Dinkins, who caught the attention of scouts despite his modest receiving stats. His reputation as a solid blocker could be what ultimately lands him a spot on the roster. Competing with Luke Farrell and potentially surpassing Braden Willis could be on the horizon if he can demonstrate his blocking prowess effectively during training camp. This wave of undrafted free agents brings both excitement and uncertainty. The competition will be fierce as these players vie for their place in a team with championship aspirations. As a fan, it's essential to keep an eye on how they develop and adapt through training camp. Where are you watching from? Share your thoughts on these new additions and what you think their impact will be on the 49ers season. Don't forget to subscribe for the latest updates and let us know your opinions on the team's direction as we move closer to the kickoff. The 49ers have a legacy to uphold, and every decision made now will be crucial for the road ahead.